Absolutely. The general perception of the Aghadi government is at this point is that the central agencies are being used or rather misused, if one may, by the political masters to settle scores with the Aghadi government. Remember, BJP as well as the Aghadi government have been at loggerheads. We know that the BMC polls are right up the top, are just right the corner. Apart from that, we also know that even Nawab Malik had launched his own he had launched his own mission against Samir Wankhede. That was also something that many of them are pointing out. But at this point, they are clearly maintaining that it is the misuse of central agencies, and many of their leaders are being falsely implicated, targeted, and that is something they maintain. Even Majid Memon, when I spoke to him in the morning, was stating that while the central agencies have the kind of power and ED has the power under the PMLA Act, but it appears, and that's the general perception, that it is being used to abuse and it is being misused, especially against leaders of the MDA government, especially against NCP, Shiv Sena leaders who are in power in the state. Whereas BJP target them through various means and ways and use agencies is what their allegation is at this point.
All right, we're getting some very important piece of news which you can already see at the bottom of your screen. Sources have been telling us from the NCP, we'll get Harman also to explain that further. The big news coming in is that Nawab Malik is likely to step down, and that's what top tier NCP sources are telling CNN News 18, that Nawab Malik will step down as minister. He's currently the Minister for Minority Affairs. He will submit his resignation. Also, we understand that Sharad Pawar has called for an emergency meeting and senior leaders will be part of that meeting. Let's quickly go across to Harman, who's got us that very important piece of information from the NCP camp. Harman, Nawab Malik's resignation, is that now likely? Harman, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, Harman. Yes, Nawab Malik, is he set to resign?
Can you hear me? Yeah. Well, yes, what sources within the NCP are telling us is that, based upon what they've seen in the past, as far as Anil Deshmukh, once again, a senior minister coming in from the NCP who was arrested, now you have that sources close to Mr. Nawab Malik stating that he would be stepping down as the cabinet minister who was in charge of minority affairs and skills development. Besides that, what we're also told is that the NCP Supremo, Sharad Pawar, has called for an emergency meeting at his residence where senior leaders from the NCP as well as from the Mahavikas Aghadi government are also expected. Now, just to show you here, for example, the police has in fact barricaded this entire court area. This is the PMLA court where Mr. Nawab Malik would be brought in once the medicals are complete. As you can see, the bandobast here that has been provided by the Mumbai police, heavy deployment of police here because they expect that there could be a turnout of NCP workers who could be coming here and raise certain sort of slogans. So to ensure that same, they have put up these barricades. You have the Mumbai police here which is on ground. But sources at this point here clearly stating that Mr. Nawab Malik is likely to resign as a minister who was in charge for minority affairs and skill development. And besides that, also a high-profile meeting that would be taking place at Mr. Sharad Pawar's residence here in Mumbai, where several leaders, not just from the NCP, but also from the Shiv Sena and Congress could be joining in.
All right, Harman, stay on with us. Priyanka Chaturvedi of the Shiv Sena is joining us at this point. Ma'am, thank you for speaking to CNN News 18. You have been pretty vocal on your social media accounts about how you feel about Mr. Malik's questioning this morning. Can I get your first response as to how you feel now that he has been arrested?
I would just say that Enforcement Directorate has reduced itself to becoming an extended department of the Bharatiya Janata Party. We've seen how institutions like Income Tax, CBI, Narcotics Bureau and ED have been deployed by the Bharatiya Janata Party against its opponents. And it's not just happening in Maharashtra, it's happening in various other states. They use all the central agencies at their behest to try and create problems in the governments which are running smoothly. This is a shameful attempt by the Bharatiya Janata Party without a shred of evidence and goes to show they're clearly rattled because they're not being able to win Uttar Pradesh. This is just a reaction to that. It's a shame.
No, but Priyanka ji, if you leave the politics and the timing aside, which yes, one can argue does come across as a bit suspicious, the merit of these accusations or the charges against which our investigations editor Ashish Merishi has given us, there are a lot of red flags. This property has been brought from two people. One of them is a close aide of Hasina Parker, who is Dawood Ibrahim's sister. The other one has been brought by another property merchant who has been convicted, or civil contractor who was held guilty of helping Tiger Memon execute the 93 blast. Red flag number 3, this property was
Can I step in here, please?
Yes, yes. Let me just complete my question.
I know the series of the case. I know the series.
Yes,
Okay.
go on. So,
Now
aren't
please
these
understand.
allegations serious or
Can
not
I,
the merit?
can I also answer your question? I've understood what you're saying.
Yes.
You're saying do these series of events do not deserve a merit and lead to an arrest, right? This is what you're saying.
Correct.
Purchasing a property by those who had some links earlier makes you guilty of the crime is unheard of. Point number 1. Point number 2 is very simple. Now let me give you a chronology of events ever since Mahavikas Aghadi came into being. We first had the entire Sushant Singh Rajput case where CBI was unleashed, and we saw how Mahavikas Aghadi and all kinds of accusations were hurled at Mahavikas Aghadi. Mumbai police was maligned, Maharashtra police was maligned, all our agencies, state agencies were maligned. What happened to the CBI report? Why don't we see the CBI report till now? Because it was something used as a theory to push the narrative for the Bharatiya Janata Party. Now let's come to the entire drug case, the Aryan Khan case where NCP, Mr. Sameer Wankhede, who himself turned out to be a fraud, is also under investigation right now. Without any shred of evidence, a lot of stories were created around the Maharashtra government. Today they all stand exposed. Then we also saw the Parambir Singh case that's happened, and it's in the Supreme Court right now. Again, without a shred of evidence, without a hint of evidence. Now this particular case, since several years these allegations are being spoken about, not a single shred of evidence they have, single proof they have to prove their claim. And today, by arresting a sitting minister without any notice, without even informing the speaker, is going beyond their jurisdiction, beyond their line of duty to please the political masters at the center. And I would request you, leaving the politics aside, I would ask you, are you happy with the way investigation agencies are turning out to be?
Unfortunately, Ms. Chaturvedi, I can't give my opinion on this.
Would you say that today investigation agencies aren't working at the I have given you 3 examples. I have given you a chronology of events. Are you happy with the way institutions are working? Is this how constitutional authorities should be working, officials should be working? And that is where the problem lies. And the fight should be against that.
Okay, so how is the Shiv Sena?
Allegations can be plenty. Allegations tomorrow can be put up for Priyanka Chaturvedi. Because Priyanka Chaturvedi happens to be vocal. But do they merit a case? Is there a shred of evidence to connect? That should be the question.
Okay. Ma'am, so how does the Shiv Sena now decide to take this fight on? Because this is an allegation that affects a political party which is now your ally, but till about 3 years ago was actually someone on the other side of the political spectrum. How is the Shiv Sena and the Mahavikas Aghadi planning on taking this forward?
Whether we were this side of the political spectrum or that side of the political spectrum, Shiv Sena continued to speak on issues that concern the nation. A nation will be harmed if its constitutional authorities and constitutional institution and its constitutional framework is in a disarray or is undermined by political powers at the center. Maharashtra has continued to fight against Delhi. We will continue to fight against these diktats coming from Delhi. And we will take this head on. It has happened with Sanjay Rautji. It is happening with Nawab Malik. It is not going to stop there. They will continue to take it to various other states where BJP government is not in power. And we will continue to fight this. This is where we stand.
Interesting, you mentioned the Shah Rukh Khan, the Aryan Khan case as well, Ms. Chaturvedi, because one NCP person who was very vocal in taking on Sameer Wankhede was Nawab Malik, who used to come out with what he used to call expose after expose against Sameer Wankhede. Would you say that this also indicates that just a few months after he came out with his public expose against Wankhede, today he finds the ED at his doorstep?
So, right from Sanjay Rautji's press conference, where he categorically said that there was pressure being built on him to destabilize the government and to break away this government. And he refused to do so, and he was threatened that agencies will be put behind him, and we saw ED running after him. Now we are seeing this happen with Nawab Malik. Nawab Malik single-handedly exposed what Sameer Wankhede was, what the head of the Bharatiya Janata Party was.